Is this thing on? Is this thing on? It's on twice, apparently. All right, let's get started. Hello and welcome to another Hedgehog Makes live stream. My name is Austin, aka Zombie Hedgehog, and today we're going to be checking out the Creality, not an Ender, but it's a CR-10 SE. Not what you would think, because the typical CR-10 line was mostly 300mm printers, and this is not. So it's kind of a different printer that no one really expected, and I'm actually very excited to get it unboxed because this is my first experience with Creality OS, which is their own take on a klipperized printer. So who else is excited for this? Welcome on in, everyone. All right, I think we're just gonna get going because we have limited time. Let's get unboxing. So this was sent over to me by Creality directly. So thank you very much to Creality for that. I do plan on covering a few of the new printers, so if there's one that particularly excites you, let me know and I'll see if I can get my hands on it. We already did an unboxing of the Ender 3 V3 SE a little while ago. Pretty nice printer for the price, actually. Right now, it's an incredible printer for the price, with some amazing features such as auto bed offset, so the nozzle will be automatically calibrated for first layer glory, no paper, etc. This one should have that too. So there's a lot in here, and I'll do my best to unbox this and keep it organized. If you're just tuning in for the first time, this is a new setup. This is my first YouTube stream with this setup, so I'll be, making optimizations as I go, but I'm pretty excited for that. Just wondering about buying the CR-10 SE as well. Yeah, I think a lot of people are, so that's why I was very eager to get my hands on it. Haven't heard a lot about this printer, and it's at a price point that's quite competitive for what it offers, honestly. I will be trying to read as many comments as I can, but I'll be focused on the unboxing and setup for right this minute. So I guess I should show you what we're doing. Comes with some basic tools, a full-sized 10mm and 12mm wrench. That's quite interesting. Some screws, looks like we'll have to do some assembly. After sales service card, looks like we have a little bit of filament. I would love if companies started shipping more than however much this is, because this just makes sure your printer works. It'd be nice if we had more of a, I don't know, a 250 gram spool. Those, they're really small spools, but they're at least you could do a print on it that's more than just testing. And not white, please. Include like blue. Blue would be nice. Not white. Looks like we have a nozzle unclogger. Those are actually pretty useful. If you get a clog, you just shove it up through the nozzle, and it sometimes helps. I've not broken any glass yet because there is no glass in this printer. No glass. Ooh. Has a nice swiveling filament sensor. This is very similar to, actually, the Creality Ender 3 S1 that has that same style of filament sensor. But I think this will support 2 rolls of filament. So we have our spool holder that has not 1, but 2 spools, similar to a Prusa. So if you're going to switch between spools, it doesn't support multicolor printing, but you can store 2 spools of filament on top if needed. I wouldn't recommend doing that anyway. It adds stress to the top of the printer, but it's an option if you need it. Wow, there's a lot in here. Yeah, filament for ants, for sure. CR-10 doesn't come with a glass plate. Yes, this is not really a CR-10, is it? Ah, cool. This is the other type of unclogger. It's a little poker stick. You poke this through the extruder, down into the nozzle, and that helps clear any clogs. So hopefully they're not expecting you to get clogs, but they do provide a way to clear them if necessary. Ooh, we have a very grippy filament cutter. I like these little ones that have like the nice grip on it. Some of them have more of a slippery grip. This is a very nice textured filament cutter, little snip. This is useful for a lot of things, not just trimming your filament, but you can actually pry it off of your bed to remove models if needed. All right. Ooh, this is one of the fun things. We have a fancy screen. Oh, okay. We'll look at this closer, but that's interesting. So we have a screen which should be touch, and it should be displaying a custom flipper screen interface. Kenneth's saying, is it your birthday today? Maybe on a future stream we'll sing happy birthday. Not today. That's funny though. Ooh, this is nice. It's a light bar. I've never had a printer that comes with a light bar like this. The Bamboo has one, but it's on the side. It's not really that useful. It'd be nice if there was a light on the top. I actually added a light very similar to this on the top of my Bamboo, and it works out pretty well. These things have birthday every stream. I'm sure it's always someone's birthday, right? Here at the screen is the upcoming Nebula pad, so it's running Clipper. So the screen is running Clipper. Is this Nebula pad? Huh. We'll take a look at that. If you guys have more information than me on this, let me know, because I really haven't used off-the-shelf printers until, well, for a long while, until recently. I got a couple of cheaper printers to do reviews and unboxings of, but I mainly build printers. I build custom printers. As you see behind me, I have all kinds of in-progress printers. Ooh, this is the main gantry. It comes mostly pre-assembled. The rail, or the lead screws, are not lubricated. They're dry, which is nice for handling, but you might want to add some lubricant to them in the future. But this looks pretty nice. It is using V-wheels. I'm not a huge fan of V-wheels, but for the Z-axis, not a huge deal. I've come to forgive V-wheels on the Z-axis, but in the future, it would be nice to have a linear rail instead of V-wheels. It looks like one side comes very loose, so it will need tensioning. You can't ship V-wheels heavily tightened because they'll deform. So that usually printers will come, hopefully, shipped loose, and you'll have to tighten them. That's one of the downsides with V-wheels, is knowing that you have to go in and fine-tune each one of them before printing, or else you might get some deformities. Use that light bar in your RC road project. Yeah, that'd be cool to have a little light bar on a RC car. Flat spots so many Creality printers from the start. Yep, that is a common problem. Any V-wheel based printer. Let's put this over here. I'll get this box off in a second. In fact, let's put the box over here so I have room. Yeah, I don't love V-wheels. They work, I understand, but I'm glad that we're shifting to linear rails. Those are the absolute best. There's really nothing better than linear rails. Well, there's differences, but for what they are, I really like rails. And we're going to check some rails out because this has some on it. Actually, wow. Interesting. Okay. This is very, very intriguing. As a side note, the foam they ship is some very, very nice closed cell foam. It's squishy, but not deformable. My favorite type of foam, and it is heavily packaged. I'm trying to get all the foam out so I can remove the base. Just gonna remove all of those. They do not want this damaged, and it does not look like it's possible. All right, not the easiest to remove, but we're gonna get this out of there. Oh wow, that is beautiful. Okay, interesting. Let's get this box out of the way. Thank you, box. You served your purpose. Now off to the side. Stay there. Wow, so we have a aluminum? Is this aluminum or plastic? It's like, I think it's plastic. Yeah, it's plastic, but it looks really good, this blue. I've never really seen this type of material, or at least, well, this finish. It's extremely high quality. It looks like metal, doesn't it? That's pretty nice. What does it taste like? We'll do a taste test later. Huh. Interesting. So there's foam on the bottom. We're just going to remove all the foam that we see. I'm sure there's instructions telling us to remove foam, but we're just going to remove it because I know it has to be removed. So here we go. This is the base of the printer. I realize that my camera is just not even close. We'll just remove it. We'll just remove that. There we go. Reuse this scene from another stream. So this is the base. It has a 220 by 220 bed on here. So this is Ender 3 sized. And I don't know if I'd call it controversial, but CR10s are typically 300 millimeters, and I was very surprised to see that they shrunk the printer. Do people not need a 300 millimeter printer anymore? I don't know. I think for most prints, this is a much better size, but if you're expecting to get a larger print volume, then you'll have to look at another printer. Something like the K1 Max maybe, that has a 300 build volume. So I'm just kind of inspecting this to look around. It looks like they have a plastic cover over a metal frame. On the bottom here, we have this stamped sheet metal panel. If you want, we can take this out. Oh, yeah, okay. If we want. Let's just take it apart right away and see what's underneath. I'm going to rest it on its bed. First thing you always do is tear apart your printer even further. Let me know if this view works for you guys, and I'll adjust if needed. But let's take this apart. I'm going to use my handy dandy Outrun sorting tray. This is available on various platforms. But I love my tray. It's useful for putting screws in when you're unboxing stuff. If you have any questions specifically for me, you can tag Hedgehog Makes in chat, and that should highlight on my screen so I can read you a bit better. Inflation, keep the prices staying to shrink the printer. That's fair. I have a guess that it's due to the might be screwed. I'm guessing it's due to the automatic Z offset, but I'm not sure. That's just a guess. So I'm trying to see if it's screwed in any other place, maybe in the back here. How do you access the bottom of here? There's some screw holes in the back. I'm seeing if that will let us in. I don't know. Oh, that's a weird screw. Looks like that's for the power supply. I want to put that back. It's a weird screw hole. I'm trying to figure out how to take this bottom off. We removed the 4 screws, but I don't see another way of taking it off. Maybe I have to move the cover? No? Oh, it just like pops up. Interesting. I can press it up. Oh, okay. That makes sense. I thought the feet were attached. The feet are actually attached to the frame, and the metal is separate. Tricked me. So I'm going to be careful because there's probably a fan attached. There is. Let's just remove that. We know where it goes. Only one fan port. So, interesting. Okay. Let's get this out of the way so we can get a closer view on printer. Wow, this is very simple. Okay, I see what they did here. All right. Let's get a closer view. Maybe I can even prop it up and show you. But we have a power supply over here. They're using a Creality branded 350 watt 24 volt power supply. Let's do a grounding check. They have a ground wire going to the supply. And then it is tied to the frame. Cool. So it has a frame. Wow, my white balance is not liking this view. It has this kind of cast, maybe, frame. It's a very interesting frame. Is that cast? I can't tell. It's not the same extruded type as we're used to. But it's grounded to here, which should be grounded to the rest of the frame, which is great. We love to see that. And look what they're running for a board. Let's zoom right in on that. What is this? This is a Creality board. I don't know. It's a board. Looks like, ooh, looks like we're missing a heatsink right there. Is that in here at all? I think a heatsink might have come off during installation. I didn't see anything loose in here, and doesn't feel like there's anything loose. So I think that this might have lost a heatsink from the factory. Uh-oh. That looks like it is one of the driver heat sinks, so we will need to get something on there, or else there's a potential for overheating if that's the case. But nothing really else. It's very basic. It's just a generic printer board. Very, very, very simple. We have the bed wiring. Oh, the inlet has a giant choke on it for isolation. That's nice. But yeah, very basic. Not much to it. Let's tip this back around and zoom out. No chip in that spot. Extra driver not there. You think there's no stepper there. So do they have a separate driver somewhere? Oh, is there a driver on the tool head? Yeah, no, I guess there isn't. It's just an empty spot. That's really strange. Okay, this is a weird printer. Does it have a built-in driver on the tool head? Is that really the case? I guess we'll find out. Very, very interesting. So not much under the hood. We should probably put that bottom cover back on. We don't need bottom panels on our printers, right? Set up like the K1. Is it? The K1 has a driver directly on the tool head. I don't have one yet, so I don't know for sure what comes on that printer. Like I said, this is a very interesting printer coming from Creality. It's not your typical Ender 3. It's also not really a CR-10. It's a new line of printers. It'd be interesting if they named it something different, because it's a little bit different of a printer. That's one gripe I have with Creality, is that they keep naming stuff in ways that doesn't really make sense in the timeline. Maybe by itself it makes sense, but when you compare it to other current offerings, the name just doesn't make sense. No, shoot. We're supposed to put these under a tab in the back. Let's get this installed properly. Not lose any screws. K1 has tool head. Like can't. Yeah, it's like it's weird. Okay, we'll take a look at the tool head then in a second. still have the screw in here. All right, so this slides in the back under two little notches. Forgot that. Hey, 3D Print SOS, welcome in. Ender 8, right? Like, what do you... That's a good point. What do you name things? Like, we have the Ender 3 V3, the Ender 3 V3 KE, and the Ender 3 V3 SE. Alone, I have no idea which one of those is which. I'd expect that the Ender 3 V3 is the entry-level option, but that's actually the highest end option that has a completely different motion system. Naming's fun. Alright, that's back on successfully. And let's flip it around. We'll have to turn it back on its side in a moment, but let's do an inspection of the bed. Now, what is this? This is the weirdest linear rail I have ever seen. I have not seen this. Look at this. So I like linear rails. I have too many of them. It's an issue. But for comparison, maybe not. Maybe not for comparison. Well, here's an MGN9 rail, and this whole black thing is the rail. It's like it's huge. It's bigger than the size of the MGN9 carriage. What the heck? What is this? That's amazing, actually, because that means the bed will be even more stable than a standard MGN12. It doesn't look like 15. It's a very thin rail. I have no idea. I haven't really seen that. Has anyone else seen this type of rail? It's thin though. It's just maybe it is. Maybe it is MGN15, but I don't know. I didn't arm wrestle Joel for the or I didn't win the arm wrestle. Actually, I think I technically won, so I got to choose if I wanted the resin printer or not. Oh, just Sharefest things. All right, we're gonna ignore that for now, but that is very interesting. So they chose a linear rail for the bed. Typically, a bed will come with here's a old dusty Ender 3. So the bottom of a typical bed has V-wheels. These things in the bottom. And the issue is, one, they're very hard to get to and tighten on the bottom of a bed. And two, they wear out. And three, they're not that stiff, so you can't travel at very high speeds with precision. You can, but they wear out very fast. So it's more of a consumable, and I don't like that style of bed movement. There's just too much weight for V-wheels. So by switching over to a linear rail, this is a precision ball bearing motion system, more like a regular CNC machine. So this bed is, wow, this is the most solid bedslinger bed I've ever seen. That is insane. I'm putting so much force on this thing, it's actually deforming the bottom feet. That is awesome. When you have a bedslinger with a very stable bed, you can push them to crazy speeds, almost as fast as a Core XY printer, if you have a big enough motor. And speaking of, it looks like they do have a reasonable sized motor here. Do I have a speedy power for reference? I don't think I do. But it's a pretty large stepper, so that's gonna be able to push the bed back and forth pretty fast. Centralist homing? Well, yep. It does have a hard stop. They are using centralist homing onto this screw right here. So no end stop on the bed. I'm intrigued by this too. There's just a a loose, no, not a loose, but a little cable just taped on. Weird. Over here we have some tape too. I'm going to remove that. Looks like that is for the Z-axis motor. Oh, this is probably, okay. This is the Z-axis motor for this side, right here, but they just taped it down. Oh yeah, look at this. This is crazy. So we all complained about manufacturers lacking in strain relief. I think they overcompensated a little bit with this system, but that's great. This means that as you flex this back and forth, it won't actually put stress on the connector itself. So the connector that's probably soldered to the bottom here, the joint won't get stresses applied to it. It's also a very thin cable. That's interesting. It's I think the regular S1 bed has a much beefier cable. It's almost like a power cable. This one is just a braided connection. So that's interesting. Some cost-saving measures there. But that's not really important as long as it doesn't get tangled or caught. As long as it can't do this. Ugh. Yeah, it's the one thing I don't like is when these things are constrained and then something hits it, they can catch on and get stuck. And then you're kind of SOL. So just be very careful how you route these cables and don't touch them. And make sure they're not caught when you go to print. All right, so that is the bed. Strain relief, yes. Cable, mediocre. The base, it's plastic with a solid metal frame on the bottom. The plastic is mostly for looks and does add a little bit of rigidity because of how it's designed, but I like it. I like it. The bed itself extends to almost the back of the printer where the motor is, and then it goes past the front. So when you're putting it on a surface, the bed won't extend too much further than where you put it. You do have to be aware of the cable and how far that sticks out. This is actually going to limit where you can put it because of how far the strain relief sticks out. So maybe in the future, it'd be nice to have a more contained Z-axis. I like how I think it's what's the Voron, the switch wire. I think the switch wire has a drag chain on the bottom. That's probably a better solution. But hey, let's get this thing assembled and probably read the manual at one point. Oh, more stickers. I have so many of these stickers. That's funny. I get them at every 3D printing fest, and now they're including them in the actual packages. That's fun. So stickers is a bonus. Does it run in Clipper then? Never seen a Creality bedslinger or sensorless. Yes, this is running a version of Clipper that they have named Creality OS. I don't know the current status of how, or if they properly open sourced it. I'm not going to police them, but as long as they state that it's running Clipper, Clipper is an open source resource, and they have all of the stuff that they've taken from, then that's fine. And we can potentially access the web browser. We'll have to maybe work together to figure that out, but we should have a version of, I think, Fluid to get into. Good candidate for an ender wire. I wouldn't bother. I really wouldn't bother. It's not going to benefit that much more by going Core XZ. I really don't think so. The bed is already very stiff, and it's already running Clipper. And the tool head is apparently pretty good. So I don't think it's going to need any upgrades. It's going to actually, this would be a great comparison against a switch wire, because I think this might outperform some versions of it. I guess if the tool head in your switch wire isn't super powerful, then this might be faster. So they want us to install the light bar on the gantry first. We'll do that after. And then they want us to magically screw from the bottom of the table to install this. I don't know which brand it was, but one thing that would be super nice is not having to flip over the printer to install the Z-axis. So it's going to sit in place here, but to screw it in, you have to put it on its side. And I really don't like rubbing the side of this and potentially damaging it. What size is it again? This is, for all intents and purposes, a Ender 3. It's an Ender 3. Like new angle for live stream. Awesome, thank you. I have a couple views. I'll have an overhead camera eventually. That will be nice for this type of work. So to install the printer, we'll have to find the side that won't crush any cables. There's this super long cable here. Maybe put it on its side like this. Okay, it doesn't really balance, but it'll be good enough. And we'll take the gantry, put the other way. Again, this is usually awkward, but put it where it goes, and then tilt the printer and put it in place. It sort of indexes, so it's not as bad as some of the previous, like a regular Ender 3, which I built today, actually. I built a regular Ender 3. That was fun. Ender 3 Pro. And we made it cantilever. I don't have my screws out, so I gotta hold this in place or else it'll fall. Why CR10 then? That is a great question. I have no idea. My guess is that they're targeting the CR10 customers, which tend to be more professional. So maybe that's the reason. Maybe they want to sell to some more professional users, and the CR10 name is generally known to be their more professional line, where Ender is consumer grade. The line is definitely blurred because there's, you know, some of their Enders, like their Ender 3 V3KE, that's going to be on par to this. It's going to be very similar. More premium, yep. All right, so that's exactly what I figured. It's just a different, it's all about branding. I don't like how they didn't, I don't know what the SE means on any of these printers. What does SE mean? Usually means Sport Edition. But it would be cool if it was like a CR10 Mini, maybe? Or a CR10 smaller? Alright, that's what you won. What'd you win? Looks like it has more Z travel than the Ender 2. What is the Z on this printer? I usually don't focus on the Z travel because I'm never really maxing it out. But it would be good to know. Move the printer over on its edge. Yeah, I can. That's not a bad idea. Now that it's sort of stable. Good suggestion. So we're gonna get 2 screws, 1 on each side. There's no really alignment to do. You just screw it in. And if anything is misaligned for whatever reason, the printer should handle misalignment. So we'll check out in, you know, the bed leveling and any type of auto calibration it has. It also looks like it includes 5 screws instead of 4. Maybe there's an extra one that goes somewhere. But that's nice in case you lose one. Get these nice and tight, very tight. Don't be afraid to put some torque into it, but not too much. Don't use ball end drivers either. I think it included some drivers. Yeah, it includes a regular hex, but don't use the ball end of a hex key to torque down on fasteners, or else you'll probably damage the fastener. It'll be very hard to remove. So now that the base is installed, we can get this upright and I guess go back and install the light bar. Love having the space for an Elegoo Giga. Yeah, that's a massive printer. A little too big for me and quite unpractical for 99.9% of the prints I do. But for the few customers who need an 800mm printer, there you go. I have my kind of eyes on the Voron Big, as I call it, which is going to be a 600mm Voron. 2.4 style. That's an interesting design. Very similar to the new Elegoo. Yeah, this has a CR Touch on it. Yeah, good old CR Touch, which... I lose a screw. I got 3 here. Yeah, I got the 4th one down here. CR Touch has been pretty good. I like how it's metal. It actually feels a little bit more solid than a regular BL Touch. And I think I might prefer the CR Touch over it. All right. So looking at the manual, how do we get this light bar on? Is it just one of those 4 screws? Looks like it. Overall, the build quality is on par to... Wow, this is a long screw. That's not going to work. Do you have any more screws? Oh, okay. The manual... the manual says, or it looks like it's a long screw, but they're actually these teeny tiny little screws. A little bit misleading. Never used CR Touch. Ender 5 Plus had a BL Touch. It wasn't anything to write home about. BL Touch is okay. I find them pretty reliable, but if you use them for a long time, the actual plastic tip will start to deform. And if you ever crash it into something, it's going to cause inconsistent Z-homing. Also, a BL Touch can't be used in enclosure, so you can't use it with a Voron, etc. So you're limited to bedslingers, really. But for that, it does work well. Cool, so we have this screwed in here, and there are some cables to plug in. How's that routed? Just kind of up through here. Not the cleanest of cable management, but there's a cable that just kind of dangles up here. Nope, and actually, it says you are supposed to put it into the channel. So we're going to route this under. You want to see what I'm working on? Let's see, I'll get it zoomed in first. Pro streamer. So we're going to connect this like so. It's a little mini connector, and then peel up this. That's what it says in the instructions. Okay, and then shove it in like so. At least just a little bit to hold the end of the wire in place, and then press it back down. So that'll keep it kind of self-contained. Also over here we have another wire. Right here. Another wire right here. And this is for the filament sensor. So we're going to plug that in when the time comes. But while we're in this view, let's take a look at the tool head for the first time. So here's the back of it. Creality branded stepper, and they have a little tool head board. Looks like they have a pretty nice strain relief coming in here. It goes into the side and out. I can't really see a lot. Do you want to take off this cover and see what's under the hood? I think you do. So the easiest way to move the printer is by taking this belt and moving it back and forth. Since it's belt tied on the top, you can do that. Pull it a little bit to make sure you don't skip any steps, but you can just pull it to move it down. So let's take apart this tool head and see what's under the hood. Because it looks like there's only 3 drivers on the control board. Thanks for stopping by, 3D Print SOS. Let's see what this takes to disassemble. Grab my little sorting tray and go crazy here. Not too crazy though, I want to be able to print with this. There's a lot to talk about, we're going to be here for a while. This is not just an unboxing, it's a... I like to call these kind of engineering reviews. I am an engineer by trade, so naturally I like to look at how products are made and give immediate feedback and expectations. I've seen a lot of printers too, and every single one of them is different. There's no two printers that are the same. Make sure this screw doesn't go into the belt. No two printers are the same. Very similar, some of them. Have you invested 3D Chameleon? I have not. I think it would be interesting. I've had some friends who tried to get it working on Clipper and weren't successful. So I mainly use Clipper. That's why I haven't really looked into it. I did back the CoPress multi-color printer, but we'll talk about that in a future video. So the side fan is plugged into a little port here. I'm going to unplug it just to make sure we don't damage the port. But inside we have a, wow, large. This is a large blower. I think it's a like 40-20 blower. That it looks like a 40-20 blower, maybe. It's very thick. Surprising that they didn't go with the 50-15. They definitely have the space for it. So maybe this one right here, it's a 0.3 amp fan at 24 volts. So that's gonna be pretty powerful. And they have a interesting duct design too. It kind of goes, I've never seen that style of duct. So they must have done the flow dynamics on it and determined that that was optimal for a single fan. Gotta keep my comments with me next time. Looks like Optimus Prime's face. Really? Does it? Yeah, I guess so. Robots are taking over. Alright, let's zoom right in on the tool head. And what do we have? So if you want to take screenshots, I'll kind of get in a good view for that. Actually, let's just move it in the frame. There we go, that's easier. So right here we have the hot end. It does have a sock on it. Let's take that off. Let's see how easy it is to take off. Wow, very difficult. Very difficult to take off. What the heck? That does not want to come off. Hopefully I can get it back on. Am I missing something here? Usually socks aren't this difficult to take off. I don't want to rip it either. We want to see what's underneath. Because eventually you're going to get a blob of death. And when you do, you need to be able to solve it. And to solve it, you need to take off the sock. And take off the sock, well, that's a mystery. Is it glued on? What is going on here? What is going on here? I don't want to break it already, but it's just not coming off. Excuse me. Does anyone know how to take a sock off one of these things? So eventually you have to change the nozzle, and to change the nozzle, looks like you'll have to get the sock off. Wow. Well, we need to do this now. I don't want to break it. But it's almost like glued on or very, very, very stiff. I always complain about Creality printers having socks that are hard to take off, or hard to stay on. This one's hard to come off. They went the completely other direction. I can't take it off. Is it attached to the tool head? Pull on 2 tabs. Well, that's gonna rip it. New font Thingiverse? Yeah, it's special. All right. Yeah, I think that doing this would just rip it, and I don't want to do that. I just can't. It's really good. Thank you, Creality, for making a sock that doesn't come off, but I want to see what's underneath. Again, one of these days, you're going to get a blob of death. You're going to have filament on here, and you're going to need to take the sock off and replace it. So, how do you do that? So I'm going to kind of twist it and see if that helps. So twist it to one side and then pull. Okay, just keep twisting it. Okay. Oh, I think we got it. Oh, there we go. Wow. Okay, yeah. Interesting. Ooh. Ooh, that's... what is going on here? Is this just loose? Does that come loose? Is it like Revo style? Huh. Interesting. I've never seen that before. What is this? What is going on here? Let's see if it says how to change the nozzle in the instructions. No, there's no mention of that. Wow, that is this like another one of the printers? So Revo nozzles are just like this. They have a ceramic heater that's loose, that slides on with a sock on it. And this is very similar, but I have not seen anything like this at all. Is this the same style hot end that's on the K1 that Joel just did a video on? Let's actually take a look. Why is the sock so tight? That's a good question. I think it was just stuck on one of the ports. Okay, let's take a quick detour and look at this. So this is the Micro Swiss Flowtech hot end for Creality K1 and K1 Max, but it looks awfully similar. So here is that, and then here is that. So like kind of an A/B. Are those similar or are they different? I can't tell. No, it was loose from the beginning. I could feel the wires loose. So what does the regular hot end look like? Did they not have a picture? Huh. But it's a very similar style. Interesting. Yeah, so I don't have a K1 to compare it to, but that looks similar-ish. All right, well, I guess we'll continue. So to replace the nozzle, I have no idea. What is this? Is it a... Do you have to replace the whole thing? Look at their website and see, what is that, a CR-10 SE nozzle. Nope, nothing yet. So can you not buy a nozzle for this printer? Because that's just a brass nozzle. That's gonna break in like not very long. And they're using, well, they're pressing against the bed. So I don't know. This is interesting. Yeah, I don't see any mention of a nozzle for this printer. Huh. That's interesting. What do you guys think? This is kind of fun. A lot of new things here that I'm not used to. So yeah, I guess we'll carry forward. There's not much to really talk about, but I can't find a way to just change the nozzle out. Maybe you have to replace kind of this whole thing. There's a thread on here, but this is not a standard nozzle. This is not what I'd consider standard. Strange. Okay. So, yes. This is the culprit here. That is crazy. So this is a whole a whole controller board that has nearly as much functionality as the one below it, but mounted on the tool head. So we have our two fans. We have heater and thermistor. Two heaters? What is this? Heater. What is this white one? There's a heater here. That's a heater, but what is this wire? I can't tell what's going on here. Thermistor. It's like two sets of heaters? Heat. And then ADC heat. ADC heat. I guess it must be a thermistor. And then we have our motor right here, and then a camera port. Oh, interesting. There's a camera port on here. Wonder what that would be used for. Well, besides a camera, but are they going to mount like a toolhead camera on here? That looks like that's about it for expandability. But yeah, it's his own little dedicated board. I don't know what their configuration's like. Is this using CAN? Do you find the fourth driver? Yeah, that's, let's see. That would be, that's the GD. There you go, there's Trinamics. TMC something, probably a 2209. 2209, Trinamics driver, right here, this little one. Teeny tiny. The extruder generally doesn't need a lot of power, so they can probably get away without heat sinking it, but I'd be interested to see if it'll run into overheating issues, because on this is a big NEMA 17 motor, pushing filament probably pretty fast, so it'll be interesting to see if that's going to cause issues. But this is not typical for a printer, which is awesome. It's nice to have the electronics on the tool head, but if it breaks, then yeah, you're gonna be out of luck. Camera for the K1. It is a K1 Max ceramic heating block. Okay, so let's see, K1 nozzle. So what do I get if I type in that? K1. So those take regular, like, volcano-looking nozzles. Is that the same thing? It doesn't look anything close to that, though. If someone from Creality is watching, can we verify where to get replacement nozzles for this? Or like hot-end assemblies or anything? Will the one from Microsys work on here for the K1? Might be different connectors, but actually the connectors look similar. I don't know. Well, let's get this back assembled and see if it works. So the sock goes around. So the reason why it was having problems is the thermistor sticking down. It's actually soldered into the frame. Yeah, it's welded to this little brass connector here. So this is what's reading the temperature, and it has to slip around it and snap over it. So it's very solid. That sock is not coming off. I like that a lot. And then the heat sink, or the heater, just floats loosely on it. All right, thank you. I'll take a look. Oh yeah. That looks similar. The K1 looks very, very similar. It might be. Thermistor looks different though. I don't know. I'd have to get in contact with Creality and see what's going on here. And of course we have a CR Touch. Also interesting that they're using a CR Touch on a fast printer, but it's not going to add too much extra weight. And I don't know if this suffers with the same... with a BL Touch, if you run this at speed, the actual... this piece right here will vibrate and cause some weird resonances and it'll sound weird. I don't know if the CR Touch suffers that same issue. And of course, on the tool head itself, we have an MGN12 rail. So another linear rail on the tool head, or sorry, on the x-axis. So the y-axis has a very beefy linear rail, like MGN18 size. It's thick. It's really thick. It might be 15, but it is extremely thick. This one is more standard, what you'd find on a typical conversion kit. So that's the benefit of this printer, is that it comes with the rail out of the box. And I'll tell you, this is smooth. Super, super smooth. And reasonably rigid. I'm not gonna put too much stress on that. But yeah, reasonably rigid. What I like to do is put my finger on the nozzle and just give it a wiggle and see if it's loose. Ooh, it's a little loose. It's actually, yeah, the way that they mounted this is not very stable. I don't know if it's just loose, but it's a little on the loose side, but it's not too bad. It's not dramatically loose that I would say would cause an issue. All right, let's get this plugged back in and see if this will actually print. And go over the setup, because this is brand new to me. I think I have to connect it to Wi-Fi. Pretty bulky and honestly heavy tool head. I'm expecting there to be a minimal design that you can print, where it just has the fan and a duct, because this is pretty heavy for, again, a fast printer. We'll take a look at the speed ratings for this in a minute too. Camera cinematic. I know we have a working printer back there. That's the Voron 2.4. But if you'd like to support this channel, I do have a Patreon, and I'd like to get some more equipment for better filming, including more cameras, etc., because I like printers, and I really like going over new printers. I learn a lot from just doing unboxings and seeing what new stuff companies are offering. And it's easier to compare against printers when you have more of them. So this is just a hobby for me, but I do buy a lot of this stuff on my own. So once again, if you'd like to support me, I have links in the video description. I also have merch. Buy some merch. Merch is fun. Wow, this is nice. This is smooth. Super smooth. Sweet. So that's back on. Hopefully still functional. It should be. Like, that's standard maintenance, taking off a sock. Just ready for tap. Oh boy. No. Not at all. Alright, so the next step, let's go back to the wide view. We're gonna plug in the wires. So on the Z-axis down here, we have a cable sticking out. We're just gonna plug that in and push the wire down. And then on the other side, we actually have to take off, they just stuck a little jumper cable with some tape. Nice tape. Comes off easy, doesn't leave any marks. And there's ports down here. So very similar to the S1, there is a Z-axis motor, expansion interface, and filament detector interface. So I think we're going to use all three of those today. So we're going to plug in the Z-axis motor. If I can figure out how to. There we go, that direction. And then plug that in. And then we have some cables here to take off. We are just using standard 2040 extrusions, although they're on the front side it's flat for looks. And then I think it might be more stable because it's flat. So yeah, these cables are dangling out the side here. Show you that on camera too. Right over here. So we plugged in our Z motor, and these are different sizes, so you can't really mess it up. but this one is our LED going into the expansion port. And then we have our filament detector, which they made smaller, so it's easier to not mess up. No other reason of using a smaller connector for that, which is nice. There you go. Very clean wiring. That's not going to cause any issues. I like it. Now we have this wire. It's been kind of dangling off to the side. Let's see what the instructions say to do. Stickers. Yeah, it comes with stickers. If you're, oh, I guess, if you're watching this and you're not caught up, you can click the live button and get to where we are live. So it wants us to do what now? There's no really clear instructions on this, but am I missing a part? Is there a part that goes here? Aha, yes there is. Cool. So there's this connector piece right here that will snap on to here? How does that connect? Did I miss that part? I thought I missed that part. Oh, was that supposed to be when I did the gantry? Yeah, there's an instruction right here. So you push on this part right here. I can show you. Pictures and video speaks way louder than words. So right here, this is a little piece that clips on, and we're going to connect our cable into there. So they'll typically, yeah, they'll leave a little indicator on where to push the cable in. Oh, merch stickers. Yes, I have some stickers. I have one sticker on my store, but t-shirts are cool. And I've heard from a few people that my merch shirts are the softest shirts they've ever used. So if you want to try out and verify that they are indeed the softest possible shirts, get yours in the video description. It's down there. Oh, does it go down here? Okay, it goes like here. And you could probably remove this after the fact, but I'll just leave that as is. Why is it like that though? I don't know. Is it supposed to be like that? Let's see. No, it's not. What? Why? How does it go? It does not feel like it should slide into here. It definitely does not. The flexible flat cable. This is not a flat cable. This is not nearly a flat cable. I guess I'll just kind of clip in here. Yeah, it does. This connector might be dual purpose because they do have ribbon cables for tool head connectors, but people want this style of cable over ribbon cables, which I agree with. This is a much better cable, but the connector isn't quite designed for that. It is. It holds it in place, but the instructions are not. This is not a flexible flat cable. This is a flexible round cable. So we just plug in the tool head connector here. There is no strain relief on here. That is a... Oh, sorry. Restate that. There is strain relief. There is strain relief. There definitely is. And it is quite nice. I commented this on this before. So the cable bends down here, flicks in place, and then goes like that. And then clicks in. That's really nice. I don't know if I can get a better shot of that, but that's probably the best tool head cable management strain relief that I've seen. I just want to make sure that it doesn't, ooh. The cable has the potential of going below the nozzle. Interesting. So if you have the cable like this, then it can hang low enough to where if you're printing, let's move the bed down. So this is where the bed is. Yeah, it can actually hit the bed. So I love the strain relief right there, but the cable is kind of just dangling. So maybe there can be a stiffener option, like a piece that slides on here that extends this to make it stiffer. Because you only need about, yeah, that much travel. So something on here that makes this stand up instead of sliding down. Just to make sure it doesn't hit any parts. It shouldn't, but oh, I guess we don't get too close to the bed. I don't want to see this cable touch the bed. Other than that, though, it looks pretty good. We're going to connect this cable right here into the motor. And it is using sensorless homing for the X as well, so we don't have to worry about end stop connectors. And that should be pretty much good. Get it twisted. Yeah, I guess depending on which direction you plug it in. So let's try, I'm just connecting it, right? So let's try twisting it up. No, this way, maybe? Yeah, that way. So if you have it like this, and you twist, if you're standing and looking at it, if you twist it counterclockwise and plug it in, then it'll kind of have a bend to it, a natural bend. So that does work. Do not plug or unplug wires while they are energized. Yes, that is important. We'll leave that on there for now, though. So yes, that does help it a little bit, but I don't expect everyone to twist that in the same direction. Oh, that went pretty smooth. We have another wire here, though. Oh, we never installed the spool holder. So the spool holder, yeah, same thing as actually same spool holder as the Ender 3S1. So it will clip onto the front extrusion and then down. So I want to get it centered, so let's move over this little thing. I like I guess for this one, since it's a dual, I want to get it centered-ish. We'll pretend that's centered. And then, ooh, there's not enough room to plug in the filament sensor now. Can't physically connect the sensor. Maybe we do have to move it over? Interesting. There's not enough slack on this little cable here. And there's not much slack down here either. So there we go. There, it's plugged in. Now let's see if we can. This dual spool holder is interesting because there's only one filament sensor, so you'll have to switch over to this side anyway when you print. So let's just put it off to the side for now, like center it. It'll look weird, but there's only one filament sensor because you can't run filament from this side into the filament sensor. Or you can, but it'll be awkward. It might actually come off the spool, off the side. Interesting. I know. Standing up for once, it's nice. So the max we can move it is right about here. So it's like slightly off center with the wiring provided. So note to the team, see if you can get this wire extended, the filament sensor wire. There's just not enough slack as is. Neatly routed, but not enough slack. Could potentially trim this cover too. That's an option. In fact, yeah, now I guess we're we're pressed up against this dual Z closed loop belt. So we'll have to slide that cover back over so it doesn't press into that. Better. Also, as a note, I've definitely misaligned the gantry. So I don't know if there is a gantry alignment process built in where essentially probes both sides and tells you how far off it is. This is a fixed bed, so I guess we can just run a bed mesh and see if it's tilted. If it's tilted, then we'll have to loosen up one of these pulleys over here and get it realigned. So we're about an hour in, actually an hour and a half in, and we're about to power it on for the first time. That's awesome. All right, a couple notes. The wiring just kind of comes out the bottom of here. It'd be nice if it came out the top or something, like not on the bottom. People like to put printers side by side, so it's nice if there isn't anything dangling here. So a little bit of a dangling cable, but I think as it goes up and down, it's going to not catch on to anything. So that's nicer than some of the other printers I've seen. Let's get this powered on. Oh, no, screen. Let's look at the screen. So this screen is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's see if it's gonna go over here. So let's switch over to the close-up. And it is telling me on the screen to switch over my voltage on the power supply. Let's do that now before we forget. It is on 230. There's a little cover in the back you peel off. Just a little piece of tape. Peel that off, and then stick your Allen key in and switch the voltage if you live on a 115 volt supply nebula pad. So is this nebula pad? Is this the coveted nebula pad? Right here. So as we noted, nothing inside the printer is running a computer. So this must be the computer. It's only connected via that many ports. So that's interesting for power and signal. I'm guessing it's some type of CAN configuration, or maybe USB. I don't know what they have set up. It's neat. And then they also have a port on here. It says this port is an external vibration compensation port. So I'll be interested to see. I don't think they include one of those in the box, but I want to see how that works. It's USB-C, and it probably attaches to, I don't know. They have specific spots in the bed to attach it to, because you need to screw it into the bed somewhere, and then you need to screw it into the hot end, or the tool head assembly. I'm curious what that's going to look like. So let's get this screwed in. Let me check the manual and see how that goes in. It's probably self-explanatory. Ah! First printing. Wait a minute. Do we even load the screen on there yet? Is there no... Okay, back on... Way back. We're skipping around a little bit. But the screw screws in with 3 screws. The screen screws in with 3 screws, which we have over here. They include 1 extra, so you can't lose one. You only need 2 screws for this one anyway. That screws in like so. Please do not unplug the wires while they're energized. Yes, that's very important, because that will... It's not a screen. This is not a screen. This is a computer. So you cannot, by any circumstance, unplug this. Do not unplug the computer, or it'll face catastrophic shutdown issues. Same thing like a Pi, right? You don't want to just unplug a Pi when it's running. You want to shut it down first. You might do it anyway, but it's not good for the OS. Now, it looks like it's screwed in with 3 screws. Just kind of find where those go. And then we're going to connect the screen and turn it on for the first time. And see if it lights up. So the screen, I want to call it a screen, but it's a pad. It's weird. But the screen, peel off that right there. It does have 2 USB ports on the side because, again, this is running Linux and you can connect cameras to it or an ADXL or anything Klipper related. I don't know what the process is yet for accessing the Klipper files. I think you have to hack it a little bit, but we'll figure that out in a future stream, probably on Twitch. So make sure you're subscribed to my Twitch channel where we do random things that are not unboxings. All right. You want to get this plugged in? Who wants to see this plugged in? Sensor comes with a Creality Sonic Pad, that's essentially an ADXL. Yeah, I'm guessing. Does it not come with one? I would expect that this printer would come with a vibration compensation tool, but it does not. Huh. We can use our own. I have plenty. But they don't have, well, we can figure that out later. But yes, we will want to run input shaping on this for sure. It's a bedslinger. It very much needs input shaper. So we'll see if this comes with a default profile. Or a default measurement. It's going to be different depending on your print surface, but it should be close enough if they include one. Hopefully they do. Or someone else has measured it and we can kind of copy it. So I'm going to get this plugged in, and I'll keep it on this screen. And let's see if it does anything. Or, well, we'll go here. Plug it in. The switch is off. And now it is on. Ooh, the light. Wow, that is bright. Hey, it's on. That is nice. Does cast a shadow over the print. So if you're recording this for a video, you'll want to use external lighting. But for just viewing the print at night, that's nice. And it has a little on-off switch right here. So let's take a look at the screen. Let's zoom right in on it as much as we can. So we are running English. Privacy policy. Yeah, I've just read all of this. Please set up to your network. All right, let's do that off camera. Probably. Unless you want my Wi-Fi password. I have gigabit, so that's always fun. All right. So it does not support 5 gigahertz networks. That's kind of to be expected. Let's see. This is a resistive touchscreen, so you can use anything to press the screen. I like to use Allen keys because it's more precise. Wow, this is a terrible, terrible layout. It's a weird. Wow. I'll show it. This is a weird layout. It's like QWERTY, but it's it's like a little bit of a puzzle. Interesting. It'll take me a minute to put in my Wi-Fi password. Might be the tool head for X? What are we talking about here? And the Wi-Fi password. Down there, okay. think that's right. Time zone. Let's see. EST. Next step. Creality Cloud. We're not going to use that. So, cool. We are at the self-test process. So we'll see what it does. I'll twist it this way. I have not used Creality Cloud, and I don't really plan on using it. I'm fine with downloading my own models and slicing them. Printer self-check. So nozzle heating. It'll do hotbed heating, auto leveling, and then optimization of vibration vanes. Optimization of vibration vanes. It must have an ADXL on the tool head, but not on the bed. The bed is really the main thing you have to worry about when running input shaper on a bedslinger, because that's the big heavy moving mass that needs the most compensation. Oh, I smell something. It's definitely heating up. Ooh. The smelly smell. It smells smelly. It would be nice if it had a little readout what temperature it's running at, but that's fine. We'll let it do its thing. It'll probably move around a bit and home. So now's a good time to ask questions. What do you think so far of the printer? So it's going to do a sensorless homing on the X. Looks good to me. And it's going to do sensorless homing on the Y. That's good. Get cleaned up a little bit. Then it's probing. Perfect. And then what is it going to do? Auto leveling. It's probably heating up the bed. And then I'm going to run auto leveling. Is it already hot? Yeah, it is. Wow. Pretty fast. Oh, no. It's nozzle probing. So it's pressing against the front of the bed. Wait a minute. What? It's now pressing the nozzle. What? What is it doing? Here, let's, sorry for this, but whoop. It just probed 2 points. What's it doing? It's like dragging the nozzle against there? Huh. I have no idea. Load cell? Yes, it has some type of load cell built into it. And on this printer, it's not on the bed. The bed is very rigid mounted. It's the same style of thin Creality bed with a little heater pad in the bottom. But it must have some type of load cell in the toolhead itself, which is interesting. Okay, it kind of did probe once, twice, and then dragged the nozzle. Now it's using the CR Touch. Get this in frame, I guess. And then it's pressing the nozzle against the... What? It's pressing the nozzle against the bed. Okay. And then using the CR Touch. And then pressing the nozzle against the bed. Huh? What in the homing is this? Oh, it cleaned the nozzle. Oh, okay, that's what it did. Yeah, it cleaned the nozzle. And then... it's faster to probe with the CR Touch, so it uses that to probe the points. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so that's what it's doing. It has both a CR Touch and a load cell sensor. So it does an automatic offset calculation from the CR touch to the nozzle, but uses the CR touch to probably avoid wear and probe faster. That's my guess. And do an automatic Z offset. So when I go to print, it should have a perfect first layer. This is kind of like a K1. This is as close to getting a K1 as you can. While this is going, let me read the website. So precision linear rail on X and Y, we did talk about that. Hands-free auto leveling. It's a solid bed. You can see the standoffs there. And it is very rigid, extremely rigid. Probably the most rigid bed I've seen on the bedslinger. And 600 millimeters a second printing speed. Data from Creality Lab. We'll talk about that. Input shaping with G sensor. That's sort of a lie because they don't have a sensor on the bed. I'm hoping they don't. A lot of companies will put a sensor on the tool head and run input shaper on both axes. But while it's moving the bed, it only measures the resonances on the tool head. That's not really accurate. You want to mount an actual sensor on the bed in order to get a proper reading. So the 60-watt ceramic heater that we saw has a hardened steel nozzle. Okay. It's kind of a weird colored nozzle. Kind of the same... Oh, it's running an input shaper test right now. It's wiggling. The same style of rail you'd find on like a LDO kit for building a printer, like the DIN rail. Linear rails. Has a allegedly pretty powerful fan. Yeah, 1200 RPM fan. I'm excited to see if that's going to cool well. I'm guessing it will. Input shaping. The same sprite tool head that we're used to. Ah, yes. Let me look at the website. So this right here is the hot end. So is that the same thing as, let me look at my reference over here. Is that the same thing as the K1, or is it different? It is different. So it's not the same exact tool head that's on the K1, but it's similar. It is similar. So where's the actual nozzle? I don't know. Does this just unscrew? Doesn't look like that. It looks sort of similar, but interesting. Creality OS. 110C bed, dual Z. AI LiDAR add-on. Interesting. Camera module. Maybe the LiDAR is what they're calling camera for a port. All right, interesting. So no, well, actually, this might work. The micro Swiss. I'm not 100% sure though. Nope, looks like it's done. So let's see what's going on. Self-test completed. Okay. Did it wiggle the bed at all? I don't think so. Not sure. Maybe it only input shapes the tool head, which is the correct thing to do if you're gonna not mount a sensor on the bed. So here we are. Now, let me click Wi-Fi. I can't click Wi-Fi. Settings, network, 131. All right, let's go to 131 in my browser and see if anything pops up. Let's see. So 192.168.1.131. Oh, Creality. Oh, okay. All right. We're in. One day, got in. So this is the web browser. I got here by typing in the IP address that the printer assigned itself. So with this, we have no camera plugged in. We have a temperature graph. We have no reference to what web UI this is. The last time this was shown, it was allegedly Fluid, or a derivative of Fluid. So I don't see any reference to what this is. In fact, I haven't seen a single Clipper reference at all so far. That's definitely something that they need to reference. If this is running Clipper, it needs to say, hey, this is Clipper. This is our bed mesh right here. Ooh. Is it not? Wow, this is like no info at all. Can I make this a little smaller? I'll move myself over here. A little bit of a taco. So down here we're at minus 0.2, and up here we're at 0.1. Ooh, 0.13. So we're at about 0.3 deviation for the bed. Not completely great. I've seen some enders with a flatter bed than this. Yeah, not great, but it'll work. I like to see beds under 0.2 millimeters deviation. We'll see. There's a light. A light. Can we turn the light on or off? What light is that? Is it like a nozzle light? No idea what light that is. Aux fan. There's no aux fan for this printer. There's no chamber fan. It looks like they've kind of used the same UI from the K1. And that's not good. They should really make a UI specifically for this printer, because there's a lot of buttons that just don't do anything. But we can extrude here at least. We can move. Oh wow, we can't even type in. Yeah, this is, I don't like this interface. We'll find a way to get the proper fluid or whatever interface back on here. But for now, this is not very useful. Not very useful. So you have to do everything on the printer itself. So let's get a close-up of that pad and see what options there are on here. And then we'll figure out how to slice something. That's a great question. Do I have to use Creality print, maybe? So we have our temperature graph on here. I don't know how well you can see this. Probably not too great. I'll just explain what I'm doing. Settings. You can home the printer. If we plug in a flash drive, we can see what's on there, or files uploaded remotely. You can see those here. We have our network. We have system, screen brightness, always on display, equipment self-tests, camera, and then a log. So not really much on the printer, really. So I guess it's time to just figure out a slicer. So let's see see if I can launch Creality Print and get that on there. Does Orca Slicer have this printer on there yet? I would doubt it, but we can check. Maybe we can treat it like a K1. Say it's a K1. So actually, that's a great point. The difference between this and a K1 is that this is a bedslinger that's not enclosed, and the K1 is enclosed and has an auxiliary cooling fan, I believe. So Creality K1, K1 Max. So potentially we can call it a K1, although not completely sure. It is running Clipper, so they have their own custom macros and stuff set up, which I can't view because they don't give me access to it. If someone wants to DM me how to get into it, that would be appreciated. I think there's a way to view the files and such. Ender 3v3 would be like this same thing, but a Core XC. So I have Creality Print open. see if I can, first of all, let's see if this printer is on here. So models, if it is, oh, that's models. Like change my printer, add printer, CR series, CR, oh wow, there's a lot of CR10s. Oh wow, there's a lot. CR-10 SE, it's at the very bottom. 0.4mm nozzle. All right, let's try to add this to the interface then. I'm going to capture a window. That's Creality print. Perfect. And then resize this because 1440p. So you can see what I am seeing. All right, so this is Creality print. I believe this is Cura, right? Also, I can't see my... Oh, that's right. This software is glitched. I can't actually see my mouse, but I think you can. So I have to look at my preview to see what I'm doing. What do the instructions say to do next? Absolutely nothing. Print. There's no files on the printer. Oh, actually, does it come? What does it come with for a flash drive? There might be files on the printer, but we're not going to use them. Yeah, we're not going to bother. We're going to slice their own files. So we have, wow, I can't see what I'm doing. Hyper PLA. I am running just generic PLA. Oh, yeah, this is, oh, yeah, you can't see anything, can you? Let me just screen share. Window. Yeah, let me just delete this and screen share. It'll be easier. Window capture. There we go. I'll be slightly easier. Slicer on memory card. They use Creality print. So that is this software right here. Whoops. Okay, right here. So this software right here, Creality print. And I have the CR-10 SE selected. Material, we're gonna go with generic PLA. We're gonna use the normal setting. And then add, no, that's a profile. We are going to open file. And, oh, you still can't see the, interesting. Window capture, huh. Second. Hide both of those. Let's go back to the browser. One of these is correct. That's the, okay, that's the browser. Very strange. So, window capture, we don't want that. Display capture, there we go. That's what I wanted. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Go back into Creality print. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Pro streamer. Let's just load a swatch truck to start. That'll let me know if the flow is set up correctly. Oh dear. Okay, weird. That'll let me know if the flow is set up correctly and if the printer actually works. This is my own model that I created. It is available on printables. So normal quality. Let's see what. Oh, strange. Okay. Let's see what this says. Small feature speed 60. Oh wow, what is this? This is an interesting interface. All right, infill speed 300, outer wall speed 150, inner wall speed 300, travel speed 300. So it is going to be printing fast. let's see where the acceleration is set. Enable acceleration control. Oh, advanced. There we go. Advanced. 5K infill accel, 2K outer, 5K inner, 500 initial. Okay, so 5K accel travel, which is typical for a bedslinger running clipper. So it should be pretty fast. Let's go in and let's just do the stock profile. We'll see how well it works. The slicer says no. Slicer doesn't like to be captured, apparently. All right, we're gonna do land printing. Confirm. Device list is empty. Scan. Let's see if scanning works. Sorry for the blackout. It just doesn't like it. Oh, there we go. 131. This is our device. F003, apparently. We can rename our device up here. This is CR-10 SE. Oh, excuse me. Continue. Send G-code, one-click printing. One-click printing. We want to click and print. There we go. And now our file is uploading. And let's see what happens. Who's ready for the first print on this thing? Let's probably throw it onto this camera. How are you guys enjoying this unboxing experience so far? They're always interesting. Always interesting. And this is no exception. You want filament? I don't know. Let's try printing out filament. I'll use some Polymaker filament, but I didn't see a load filament button. Interesting. Do you think it'll print without filament? Let's try it. That's the first test. Needs more, more what? Sparks? More sparks? Yeah, no sparks today, unfortunately. Let's see what's going on here. Is it doing anything? Screen's black. Oh, it says spot struck shapes. Okay, it's heating up the bed to 60C. And then probably the nozzle. Looks like their start G code isn't optimized. It isn't preheating the nozzle. ABS. Well, we can print ABS on here, but I would be afraid of warping on an open printer like this, even ASA. So I like to stick to PLA for open air printers. I guess I can show you a print while this is waiting to go. This is a big print. So I pretty much filled up the build plate on my 2.4. So this is a 300 millimeter print. And this is actually a 7x7 Gridfinity in Polymaker's Mixed Berries Polyterra. Very, very beautiful print. I love how it came out. But this is what a typical... Oh, as I hurt myself. This is what a typical 300 millimeter bed is. This is a lot smaller, right? It's significantly smaller. So I'll be interested in hearing your feedback. If you get a CR-10, are you expecting a 300 millimeter size printer? Or are you expecting something smaller like this? Or do you care? Do you really care that this is only Ender 3 size? All right, we have our first line going down. With no filament loaded. Does it not have a filament sensor? How long is it going to print for? Excuse me. It's printing in air. Okay. Let's stop the print. And do I have to enable the filament sensor? Oh. Well, first of all, we didn't put filament in the top. There is a filament sensor at the top, but it's not doing anything? Let's see. Settings. Settings, system. Network, camera. I don't see anywhere where the filament sensor is set. This is M right here. I don't know what that means. Is there no... How does the filament sensor work if it's not detecting it? It isn't reading the sensor. Yeah, it's plugged in. It's plugged in. Regardless, it would trip if it's not plugged in because it's a filament sensor. So what's the point of using the filament sensor if it's not going to read it? I don't know. I have settings, system, screen brightness. Whoops. I can't scroll on here. Time zone settings, equipment self-test, sound. Settings, that's print settings. Nothing there. Nothing on the home page. Huh. I don't know. Probably a glitch in the system or something that needs updating. I will report that back. So we have filament loaded now. What's the filament loading procedure? How do you load filament? It doesn't detect when filament's inserted. It doesn't automatically load it. If I go to... Does it say how to load filament in here? The filament sensor's on the top. It's floating like the standard CR-10, Ender 3 S1. First printing. Okay. It does say right here. Preheat the nozzle. So on home, we hit here. We have to manually set what temperature to preheat it to. Okay. Yeah, okay. So it's manual filament loading. There's no automatic macro to load filament. That's very interesting. I expect this is running Klipper. They'd have a macro where you press one button and it loads the filament for you. But no, you have to increase temperature. It doesn't tell you what temperature. Heat the nozzle to 185 or higher. Let's say 200. Okay. I'll preheat the bed to 60 so we can directly print after this. Okay. And then we have to push filament until it comes out manually. So no load filament macro like what's on typical Marlin printers. And it doesn't seem to be reading the sensor. So I have a few notes for Creality. Overall, I think this is going pretty good, but just a couple of growing pains. I think as more companies learn how to use Klipper, it's a completely different experience. Like, this is not what I would normally expect for a machine, but they try to downgrade the Klipper experience to match Marlin, but they miss out on some very important features like loading filament, detecting filament. So right now I'm just pressing down. I'm pressing down on the filament. I'm unable to press it any further. Oh yeah, it's kind of hard to push in. Okay. All right, I'm pushing it, and filament is coming out. So I will stop. Okay. So that's how you load filament. And to unload filament, you heat it back up, you press this little lever, and you pull. Like what I would typically do on a Klipper-based machine, but you can just set up a macro. Alternatively, having a filament sensor in the tool head, I think that would be expected at this point, but apparently not. Let's see if I can reprint the file. So it did upload the file that I sent to it. So I click the file, then local, and I have it there. And it has a calibration button checked. So let's see what that does. It's going to home the printer. Oh, one important thing we forgot to do is adjust our V-wheel tension. Let's see if I can do that now while it's doing its thing. I know this one had to be tightened a little. That side seems fine. All right. Make sure you adjust your V-wheel tension. Once again, I forgot to do it. And I've been doing this for a while, so I'm sure someone's going to forget to adjust the V-wheel tension, and then that will potentially hurt the print quality. Once again, if they're going to go through the effort of making this whole thing linear rails, they should really just do the Z-axis too. That's not something that I'd like to see for a premium printer, having V-wheels. This is still kind of stuck between the old CR-10 line and then the more modern style printers. That's what it seems like to me. So it's the first step into a new generation of printers. It's cooling down to 140, so I think we're rerunning something, maybe the bed mesh or something. Z offset maybe. See what it's doing. But it's cooling down the nozzle right now. It's probably gonna clean it off and then do a Z offset calibration. There you go. And then maybe do another bed mesh. I did not see a mention of adaptive mesh where only probes where it needs to. So it must probe the whole bed every time. If that's the case, then that's something that can easily be changed because this is running Klipper. But I don't think they've done that. So it just did the Z offset calibration. It does it in 2 spots, which is interesting. Probably to get a 2 reference points and then compare them against each other. And then it probes the middle again. Okay, yeah, so this is going to do a whole bed mesh again. So if you click that calibrate button, it'll do a bed mesh for every print. This is a fixed bed, so there's no springs. The bed should not change position. It really shouldn't. Let's see if I can just focus up here. There we go. So the bed really shouldn't change. I'll just zoom in a bit too. And the Z-axis are linked at the top, so they shouldn't become out of sync. So hypothetically, you can run one bed mesh and keep that forever. Occasionally rerunning it, but I think it's going to avoid a little bit of area it tried to print on. So you probably don't need to run this calibration before each print. But it's a safety thing where I like to run a bed mesh for every print just to make sure it's, printing in the, it's not going to crash my bed or be completely off. And these types of beds, the thin little bedslinger beds like this, they tend to warp over time if they're constrained like they are. So it would be a great idea to run a new bed mesh for every print. Doesn't even know what to focus on. Here. All right, so that's done. Does it tell us how long we are into the print? No. It does another Z off or another Z home. Okay, and then it goes to start printing. So if you're new to Clipper, switching over to this is going to be very different than Marlin. You have to save the... well, actually, you do. I don't know how this does anything. It's not Clipper in the sense that it's not running standard Clipper screen. It's not running standard Clipper interface. It's running Creality OS. But it is Clipper. So it's just a new experience for me. And it is laying down its first bit of filament. The first layer is always going to be pretty slow. You don't want to... You want really good adhesion for the first layer. So I can't really see what it's doing. It's running Cura, so it's slicing the swatch truck different. I'm noticing that immediately. I printed so many of these things that I'm very familiar in the different slicers and how they slice the model. Oh, looks like we had a little bit of stray filament there. Interesting. Oh, do we have... Oh, did it put a brim on it? It better not have. What is going on here? Is that a brim? No. Okay, I guess not. I think the filament is just not calibrated. It might be over extruding. We'll see. We'll see how it comes out. We are using Polymaker's PLA Pro for this. This is their metallic dark red. We're printing a swatch truck. So let's zoom right on in so you can see it printing. Oh, wow. Yeah, so... How do I show this without turning off the printer? See an issue here? Do you see a potential issue here? See that? See that cable here? That's touching the bed. That's not ideal at all. So we thought that twisting it would help, but apparently not. So let's just move this out of the way. I don't even know. It wants to go back into that position, so just be very careful with that, and I might make a recommendation to change that design. It is very loud. Kind of a high-pitched fan. Not that pleasant to listen to. But it is printing at, Clipper speeds. Seems so, at least. This is their stock profile. Infill is very slow. I don't know why. Maybe it's flow limited. Let's see. Does it give us a value? Ooh, the stock profile ramps up and down the fan. Which is very noticeable because it's a very loud fan. I can hear it over my headphones. Let's check out this profile. I'm not used to Cura. I'll see if there's the start G-code or macros, whatever they're using, and see if we can get this transferred over to Orca Slicer. What am I looking for? Cooling. The fan is at 100%. Bridge. Wait. Regular. Oh wow. Yeah. I don't read Cura. Regular fan speed 100%. Maximum fan speed 100%. Regular maximum fan speed threshold 15. Is that S seconds? Minimum layer time 10 seconds. Bridge fan speed 20%? I'm using OBS, so I don't have, I can only stream to one platform. So I typically stream YouTube for these because it's a recorded video, so all the chat and stuff is there. Yeah, it seems reasonably fast. The actual movement of the printer, etc., is pretty good. The fan is just way too loud, so I would look into lowering that. They're only using a 4010 blower, a single 4010, sorry, a 4040 blower. Oh, excuse me. So that's why it's so loud, I'm guessing, compared to like a 5015. Text overhangs around the roll. So it should be 100% all the time versus what I'm seeing here. I don't understand their I don't understand Cura. Is it 4040? I thought it was 4020. It looked like 4020. It's definitely not 4040. It looks like a 4020 blower of sorts. Actually, I think I have a 4020. Let's see. It's a very, very, very wide 4040. Or sorry, not 40. Yeah, 4040. 4020. 40. It's a 40 millimeter blower. There we go. There. That's probably 20 millimeters deep. I can't math today. But what's very interesting is that the Ender 3 V3 KE has it's very similar to this. It still has linear rods for the bed, which is not as nice as a linear rail, but it's still decent. But it has a 2 cooling fan tool head, probably like 2 4010 blowers. Yeah, flow test. Yeah, maybe on Twitch tomorrow we can go over this printer and do a little bit of a deep dive. So if you're not already following, make sure to do so. Follow me on Twitch, where we'll do more random things with these printers and work on some other projects as well. But so far, so good. It's printing. The stock profile needs some optimization for sure. The start macro / G code needs to be edited. And it seems to be missing a couple of features. But that's all stuff that can be added in the future. Yeah, otherwise this is essentially an Ender 3 KE. They're very similar. That's why I'm confused that this is a CR-10 printer. Again, we found out that that's because they wanted to market this for professional use. But it's really just an Ender 3. It's a very beefed up Ender 3. It takes Ender 3 beds, at least. So if you already have a bunch of beds lying around, then you can just throw one right on here. And since it does a automatic Z offset calibration, you can put any bed on here as you want. I'm just not sure how the nozzle changes work yet, because you'll want to be able to change your nozzle. It does not look like they're easy to swap. So I'm guessing it's similar to the K1, Joel Telling did a video on the K1 and replaced the hot end with a micro Swiss developed specifically for that printer. And it seems like that would be the way to go if micro Swiss is offering a hot end for this. But by the time you spend an extra 60, 70 bucks for a hot end and nozzle, you might want to start looking into enclosed printers. They have a video. Okay, I'll check and report back on Twitch tomorrow. And if you're watching this in the future, feel free to leave a comment. I probably got some things wrong during this unboxing, so if there's anything that you'd like to see corrected or noted, please feel free to. But it's working. It's working. So while this is going, it's almost done. Let me just summarize my experience with this printer. It works. It is exactly the same setup process, or very similar to a lot of other printers, including the standard Ender 3s like this S1 over here. It's a very interesting board layout. The main computer, the thing that controls everything, is in this pad. So this is, I think they're going to call this a Nebula pad. So it's very similar to a Sonic pad where it runs its own dedicated computer in there running Linux, and then it connects to the main board inside of the printer and the toolhead board on the toolhead. The fans are loud, like any one of these printers. But I think as Nathan Builds Robot says, you can either complain that there's not enough cooling, or the fans are too loud. And there's rarely an in-between. But I do think that the dual fans, one on each side, allows for a similar cooling performance, but with greatly reduced fan noise. Because you have two fans to split the load instead of one giant fan. Or increasing the size of the fan might help. There's a lot of room on this tool head. It's a very wide tool head, so I don't know why they went with the 40mm blower instead of a 50-15 like what Bamboo uses. This was sent over by Creality for review, but this is a retail unit from what I can see. I don't think there's anything special about it. But yes, this is technically a review printer. Printer would be good for schools, but a teacher isn't skilled on printers. I would rather see an enclosed printer for schools. I would say this is more targeted to businesses who just want to get a printer, put it on the counter, and print stuff out, but don't need to print ABS, so they don't need an enclosure. Bed slingers with, moving beds, etc. I wouldn't... Actually, I think a lot of schools don't get bed slingers because of that reason, because they're, you could stick your hand in there and hurt yourself or touch the nozzle. At least have an enclosure on your printer, like the Bamboo, means you can't poke at it when it's printing, or at least accidentally poke at it. But if this is how it performs, I am very, very, very interested in reviewing the KE. So the Ender 3 V3 KE. I should be getting that soon for review, so stay tuned. But I'm expecting it to be very similar to this. Maybe a little bit slower, but overall similar. Not a whole lot of differences. Tools with enclosed printers have more woes. You think so? It all depends. It really comes down to loading filament, honestly. Like, how easy is it to change out filament? And in this case, it's purely manual. There's no assisted loading. There's no filament detection on the tool head, so it's not going to be like a Prusa in that sense. All right, we have our first print, so let's take a look. Let us look. Did I put a brim on here? I can't tell what's going on. So it's a spring shield flex sheet. Oh, only single-sided, really? Single-sided? Come on, you could throw a smooth PEI in the back of the sheet. All right, let's see. So here it is. Absolutely no tuning. Stock profile. It is over extruding. It is over extruded. And it did put some like a weird brim on the wheels. Yeah, that's what I saw. It put a weird brim on the wheels, the stock profile. So we're going to have to reduce the flow. Also, it has... I didn't select single wall on top layer, so it looks a little bit... Well, it has multiple walls. It also looks like it's under extruding at some points. So you can see gaps in the walls over here. Again, why I typically don't do more than one wall on the top layer. Maybe a little bit too fast on that top layer. But I'll play around with this and we'll develop our own custom print profile, so stay tuned for that. I'll probably be using Orca Slicer in the future. Auto brim is enabled by default. Okay. Well, that is good to know. I don't know my way around Creality's print software very much. Same thing with Cura. There's a lot of settings in here that... There's a lot of settings. And I'm not used to it. So maybe that's how people feel when they switch over to Orca Slicer. But what I'm most interested in is the start G-code. So where can I view that inside of here? So we're inside of Creality Print. This is the slicer profile, but where is the, manage? Here we go. So this is the actual printer, and here's the G-code. All right, so it looks pretty, wow, very, very basic start G-code. They're not utilizing any of the Clipper specific functions. Very basic. Yeah, so no macros, just start and end print. So what we can do is copy and paste this into Orca Slicer. We could try that. So inside of Orca, we can make a new printer. Let's actually select, just for the heck of it, I want to select the K1 and see what happens. See if we can hack it into working. So Creality K1, let's check that start G code. So the K1 is using a macro. They're using a start print and end print macro. So that is different. This is what it looks like. It says start print, and inside of Clipper, there is the rest of it. It's kind of cool that Bamboo, and I guess on this other profile, you can see all of the G code on the slicer. But in my experience, it's a lot easier to manage if it's just set up as a macro. So to convert this over, we're going to paste the G code. It's all basic commands, so I don't think it'll have an issue. We might need material print temperature first layer, so we'll have to figure out what that is called in here. Actually, it is called extruder temp equals nozzle temperature initial layer. So that is our variable name. Let's change that out for our M109 command. M109. Where does it heat up the bed? Where does it heat up the bed? Home, reset extruder, moves the axis up, moves start position. That's confusing. Where does it heat up the bed? Huh. Advanced? I don't know if that's going to show me anything else. Oh yeah, G-code flavor. Nebula pad. Hey! There we go. Interesting. Which is Clipper. Oops. Interesting. I don't see where it sets the bed temperature. Huh. Is there any more G-code in Cura? Can you do G-code by material? Let's see. Let's go to manage our generic PLA and see if there's any G-code inside of here. No. No G-code. This doesn't seem correct, but it's also working for here just fine. I'm tempted to just add in a bed temperature initial layer. So what is that in terms of M code to set the printer? So it should be before you home it. Set the bed temp. So what is that? Bed temp clipper. Bed temp clipper G codes. M104 maybe? Let's see. Set extruder temperature. Set extruder temperature weight is M109. Set bed temperature and weight is M190. So we need to add, before it homes, I guess before all of this, right here, we'll do an M190. And then S, and in parentheses, this bed temperature initial first layer. Very similar to how it does this. Okay, we can delete all the stuff that it came with for the start G code. I feel a little bit more comfortable with that. And I can also add in a what is it? M104. M104 S, let's say 180. So this should set the nozzle to heat up to 180, but not wait. We should do this before we set the bed temp. Then it'll home the printer, move the Z-axis up, start position, and start printing. I have no idea if this is going to work. We'll figure it out. NG code. So we're going to steal the NG code from the stock profile. Go back into Orca Slicer and paste that in. We have nothing else in here. I don't know if there's a pause macro set up. So we'll just leave that as is for now. Yeah, is there no pause G code? How does Kira work? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's only start and end. Where's all the rest of the G code? That's okay. Well, that should be good for now. And then we need to connect this to our network. So let's save this as Creality CR-10 SE. 0.4 millimeter nozzle. Okay. And it should be pretty similar to a K1. We'll just keep everything else as the same. Might as well. Retraction length 0.5. I think we can probably leave it alone. Don't use Z-hop, we can leave it on for now. And then we get to change the size. No, the size is the same. The printable height though. Basic parameters 250, yeah, so same printing height as the K1. Okay. We can see if this actually works. I have no idea if it's going to, but we'll see. We have to click this little network tool. I'm gonna guess it's octo/clipper. So 192.168.1. Was it 131? We saw, yeah, 131. Test. Could not connect. Okay, so we also need our parentheses 7125, which is our typical stock port for Clipper. Let's try that. Could not connect. Okay. So they are using something different to connect their printer? Let's go to device. IP address. Details, maybe? Oh, ha! That's funny. Oh, why is it? Okay. If you click device, it actually brings up the web interface right in here. But it's, like I said, it's very, very minimal. There's like nothing enabled. Wow. So how do you connect? How do you connect to it? How do you send stuff to it remotely? Browse? Well, let's see if it works. Network lookup. Nothing. Nothing at all. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna be able to hook it up. Let's give a quick Google and see if we can. Orca Slicer K1 wireless. Wireless printing from Orca Slicer to K1 guide. It should be a similar experience because they're both running Creality Print. Let's see. Oh, okay. So it looks like they've downloaded new firmware onto the K1. Is it really that difficult? Yeah, I don't think we can just send prints to it with Orca Slice. That's a huge bummer. So you're actually forced to use their slicer if we can't remotely send file. Of course, you can just put it on a flash drive and put it over, but yeah, it's not gonna remotely send prints. Huh. Okay. That's interesting. Wow. Yeah, I don't like Creality OS, I'll tell you that. So let's use the included flash drive and see what's on it. Remember, I'm used to Klipper. This is very, very, very stripped down Klipper, and not in a good way. So they include a benchy, supplementary files, .zip. Let's see what's in there. User manual. So I think it's the same exact user manual as we had before. Okay, different version. That's fine. We don't need that. Scraper, PLA, filament guide. I wonder what that is. Filament guide? What could that possibly be? So let's just ignore that. Let's go into our slicer and let's see if we can just use the K1 settings and print. Let's see, let's change normal printing to 5,000 and travel to 5,000. And everything else will leave the same. Slice, I don't want to print that though. Oh, invalid. Oh, did I not paste the right thing? Shoot. Machine G code. Yeah, we have the wrong macro. Yeah, so I need to go back into the Creality K1, and then we'll save this nozzle temperature. Initial layer, and then go back to the what is this thing? CR-10 SE. All right. Then we're going to go to this over here, and that should be good. See if that likes it a bit better. Let's just slice a... I don't know. Let's try a benchy, because why not? Why not? Everyone likes benchies. Everyone at least knows what a benchy is. 45-minute benchy. Okay. The 45-minute benchy. That is with probably 3 walls. Ooh, grid and fill. I don't like grid. Change that to cubic. And 3 walls is fine. I'll typically run 3 walls. And it is running Arachne. Yep, it is. I don't use Arachne. Orca Slicer is running slow. Okay, Arachne Classic. Single wall on top layer. That is checked. Cool. 42-minute benchy? Sure. Why not? What's the flow set to in the... to here? 12 millimeters cube. We can go farther than that. Let's try 18. So Polymaker PLA CR-10 SE 220. Cool. Cooling. Let's set the fan speed to like 80 and see if that's any better. Because it was just way too loud at 100%. And slice it, and we'll see if we can even print this. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try to export G-code file onto that flash drive. Did that work? Okay. Let's see. Export G-code file. Put it onto our USB drive. 3D Benchy PLA 41 minutes. All right. So now let's go to our go to the printer and plug in the flash drive. It's nice that you can use a full-size just flash drive if needed, but this should be the Klipper experience, remotely sending files. Let's go to, I'll just put a zoomed in view. Too zoomed in. Finish. Okay, so we're gonna go to here, USB drive, and then this 3D Benchy, 41 minutes. We're not gonna do the calibration, and we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. We'll see if it even prints with that start G code. I essentially copied the Creality print G code and then pasted it. It's very simple. There's no, actually, it gave me the option on the pad to do the calibration. So I bet it's doing additional things when it starts up. But we are preheating to, okay, we're preheating to 180 for the nozzle. Is that what I told it to? I think so. And then preheating to 60 for the bed. Might actually have to modify that, so if it preheats now, it might leak a little, but it's only 180. It shouldn't be that bad. So it's doing something. If I can get this at least working with Orca Slicer, I'll be a little more comfortable with making a tuned profile for it. But it sounds like out of the box, it is extremely difficult to connect to it remotely. And I don't know how much support this is going to have from the community, because I don't think a lot of people are going to buy this printer. They're just going to go right for the K1. You know, spend an extra $100 and get the K1, which comes with better cooling. It's enclosed. And a little bit faster. But I'm sure some people will be interested in this. I would recommend waiting until I do the Ender 3 V3 KE unboxing. That I feel will be a little bit more, that's targeted more towards the custom printer community, or at least like entry-level printer folks, hobbyists, etc. Because it's essentially this printer with a different tool head. And a little bit cheaper. But if you find this on sale, I think it's currently on sale for Black Friday and is a pretty good price. So let me know if you get this. Let me know what your experiences are with this printer, what you think about it. It is certainly an interesting one. Let's see. Well, it is heating up 220, so it looks like we are able to manually slice. That's good. It's extruding. It's not plowing into the bed. Awesome. Oh, let's see what it does. What did we print? A Benchy? Medium speed Benchy? Not speed Benchy rules for those playing along at home. And this is using the Creality K1 profile, but limiting the acceleration to 5,000. And the filament flow to 18 millimeters cubed at 220C using some Polymaker filament. Looks like we left Z-Hop on too. That's alright. I typically don't use it, but we'll see. I'm not going to stick around for the whole print, but I at least want to get a little bit of it going, get over this initial bridge. The fans are not any quieter at 80%. Oops. You can turn the fans on or off, which is interesting. But can I actually see what fan percentage we're at? Yeah, 80%. And I can actually control it in the on the pad here. Let's see if I can reduce the fan speed by hitting the minus. Oh, it's... I think it resets to 80. Yeah, it's Clipper, so you can't manually control the fan. But it looks like it's printing, and even at 80% fan, it still seems sufficient. It's doing a fast boat. Taking a look at the wall quality on the swatch truck, it seems all right. Although I really got to get a tuned profile for flow. It'd be nice if profiles were tuned more or less out of the box. I have no idea what the pressure advance setting is inside of their config file. I really gotta, maybe on tomorrow's Switch stream, we'll go in and access the root directory of this printer, you know, hack into it, per se, and see what the Clipper config files look like. That'll tell a lot about how this printer was developed and what it's intended to be used for. But just doing a quick inspection of the print, it looks very smooth for, you know, a very fast bedslinger. I think we are running into minimum layer times with this, though. I think it's set to 8 seconds. Can we increase the speed of it? That's a good question. Can we set a speed multiplier? I don't think so. Home. I see no option to change the speed. So even if I wanted to slow it down, I couldn't do that on this pad. Yeah, so it seems like there's going to be a need for a whole UI overhaul for this thing, both on the pad and inside the web interface. Hey, Collie. We're working on it. A little more useful as the studio progresses. But hey, it's printing, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's actually looking really good. Wow. Like, as good or better than my Bamboo good. Damn, alright. Alright. So this does differ from the K1, because it uses I think it's a stock Sprite extruder, which is a pretty nice extruder. So, any of the issues from the initial K1 extruders aren't present on here. It's also a big, beefy motor. It's a Neo 17 Pancake, so it's going to be very strong in extrusion forces. It'd be fun to do a max blow test on this and see what we can hit. But we'll save that for tomorrow. I'll play around with it a little bit off stream as well. I'll probably run through the initial Orca Slicer calibrations now they know that it works. It's just a shame I can't send files remotely to it. Not a game breaker though. If this is intended to be a CR-10 printer, I'm not expecting everyone to remotely send files. You already subscribed me. Good, good. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. We'll do something special when we hit that milestone. But for now, let's just keep progressing. I think you've seen pretty much everything that you need to know for this printer. Is there any other questions before we kind of call it a day? It's printing. It's printing fast. It's printing well. It's not printing with the stock slicer. And it's not using Wi-Fi to print. There's a couple of growing pains that I think a lot of companies will will take feedback from their first launch of a product and then incorporate those changes into future models. I think this is one of those printers that kind of included some new things in here that hasn't been done before, like the tool headboard. Just, you know, the fact that they're using an Ender 3, essentially an Ender 3 frame, but they have this really nice plastic shell on it that's similar to the sorry, too many printers. The other SE, the Ender 3B3 SE. It's similar, but this one definitely looks and feels more premium. I would definitely see this over the Ender 3 V3 SE on like a workbench at a professional workspace. The dual nozzle or dual spool holder thing is okay, but I think I'm just gonna, you know, remove that extra one. It's not gonna be needed. You're not gonna want to store all the extra weight on the top of the printer, especially for a fast printer. It's actually recommended to take the filament off of the top and then move it remotely, similar to the Anycubic Cobra. It mounts the filament on the side, so there's no extra stress on this top gantry. That's a bit better of a design. The cable management on this printer is subpar. The Y rail looks really good. I'm quite impressed with that. It's a very rigid bed. It has a tensioner for the X and Y. The Y, you have a little knob. I didn't bother checking the tensions. And then the X, you have to screw it in. It has a storage container. Oh, a huge storage container. That's size for the manual? Maybe? No, too small. But we can put our tools in there that we didn't use. Just as spares. It's always nice to have. This filament I'm not going to use. It takes more effort to use this filament than it's worth. Put this little thing in here as well. Little nozzle poker. Keep that in here. It's a very large bin. It's a very thick plastic. Feels a lot nicer than some of the original storage containers. Go, get that in there. Does this printer have a storage container? Oh, it does. Alright, yeah. It's nice thing about the Enders, they usually have a little storage bin. Can I put this in there? I'll probably just put this in my bin. Bin of stuff that I don't use. Now we have a little bit more walls. Let me try to get a close-up of the quality of the Benchy, because it's pretty impressive. I'm impressed. And I've used custom Voron printers, I've used the bamboo, I've seen a lot of prints on the internet, and this is probably a like a 9.5 out of 10 without doing any tuning. So I like that. Alright, let's see if I can show you. It's very difficult. It's moving pretty fast. I guess I could pause it. But it's looking good. Yeah, we'll try to pause it and see what happens. Oh, yeah, we'll see what happens. Can we pause this? It's a great question. Pause, stop, back, pause. Okay, moves up out of the way. Cool, it does pause. There we are. Can I move this down at all? Top surfaces look pretty good. Looks pretty good. Yeah, I see some rippling around the corners. It looks like the input shaping was definitely on the bed as it goes around this corner. I think it's the bed. Yeah, the bed doesn't have input shaving applied to it from the looks of it. So it's not gonna have as high quality fast prints as like the K1. I will figure out how to run input resonance on this printer. But until then, let's just continue this, resume, see if that works. So it does cool off the nozzle when it pauses, which is nice. We'll see if it leaves a little bit of a blob when it starts back up. Oh, there. But yeah, all right. Good enough. This isn't Twitch, so I'm like, who am I gonna rate out to? Oh yeah, we're on YouTube. There's no rating on YouTube. YouTube doesn't like live streaming. I just checked the motor heat. Pretty cool. They're not pushing these motors super hot, which is a bit surprising. I can put my hand on the motor, so not as hot as some of the other printers I built. So yeah, there we go. That is the Ender. Sorry, not Ender. It's essentially an Ender, but it is not. It is the Creality CR-10 SE, the brand new line of CR10s that are not CR10s, but it's called the CR10. Runs Clipper, but it's not Clipper. And it's a very interesting printer. So thank you all for tuning into this unboxing and first impressions. Hopefully you learned something. If you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment down below. You can reach out to me on Discord as well. Lots of thoughts. I will process this on my future streams, and I will do a follow-up review of this printer after long-term use, going over any changes I made to it, and just overall impressions of the printer, probably about a month from now. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, thank you all for tuning into this live stream over here on YouTube. My name is Austin, aka Zombie Hedgehog, and you just watched a Hedgehog Make stream. So have a good night, good morning, good evening, and goodbye. It's the Ender, not Ender.